there's Dawn. Okay, so Dawn and Fiona are line, and Robin is dialing in. Heroes? You can?
Yeah.
Turn them on. The doohickey
I don't
thing is
know.
not working.
Dongle? What is it? I don't know what they call it.
Just turn it on.
I didn't think I could. You have to turn it on? I thought it just always turned on.
It's got a power button.
Oh,
None. Enter Bluetooth. Waiting for connection.
no worries. All right. Did you make me the host?
Oh, maybe not.
Okay, so,
Hang on, we're gonna do that echo thing if you're talking.
okay, hang on 1 second. Janet's fixing something for us so we don't have a terrible echo. For those of you who are dialed in, excluding Fiona, it's raining here. So you can see how excited I am. You know how old I am. 'Cause who else gets excited about the rain?
I'm happy for the rain, but I'm not happy about the rain. It's on the here. I know.
I just stomped through. I just stomped through the puddles.
Did you get it?
Yes, I'm the host now.
Let me log out.
Okay, let's go back. So, meeting comes to order. I'm still hearing this.
Yeah, hang on, I gotta log, I don't know how to log.
Never dull.
Kick me out.
Power off. When in doubt, power it off entirely.
Bluetooth magic failed.
Alright, so secretary confirmed that all board members have been notified. They have. Notice was posted on the association property on Sunday afternoon. We have Dawn and Fiona, and I know Robin is coming, so we do have a quorum. Motion to approve board of director meeting minutes from April 21st and 26th, as previously presented.
I make a motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can you let me know when Robin joins?
Yes, any opposed? Cool beans. Okay, so meeting minutes are approved. All right, consideration of gutter replacement is on unfinished business.
Alright, I gave you one of the, yeah.
Yes, so I know that clusters 1 and 2 were the only ones who were planning gutter replacements this year, for sure, that were budgeted. But we did get estimates for all 6 clusters, and Fiona and Dawn, you should have received that via email. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah?
All right.
We do?
You did?
I don't know. Did we?
You should have, yes. Check your email. But, so we got 3 estimates. We got SoFlo gutters, Brothers gutters, and Rain to Shine. And Jerry and Jenny.
Well, I also have gotten one, I don't know when it was from, but from, the leaf filter, which was significantly less than any of these other 3.
Is that because Leaf Filter looked at cluster 1 and identified, in his opinion, what did not need to be replaced?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
using
So-
what we have.
Yeah, so that's the biggest reason for the difference. Cause I wanna say the gentleman was Austin's friend, and he had identified several gutters that were seamless and newer.
And
So-
also a lot of the downspouts had
Yeah.
a lot of life left in them.
Yeah. So, I don't think we ever had him check out cluster 2 for pricing, but, yeah.
So I have a question, is this pricing contingent on doing all of them, or can like she choose one and I choose a different. Because on mine, it would make more sense for me to, if we ever have to replace everything, it'd make more sense for me to go with brother, request you to go with brother's gutters, cause they came in the lowest.
Yeah, no, no, none of them are contingent, we asked for 6 separate. The only one who combined it on one sheet was Rain or Shine, or Rain Shine, but they separated by cluster, and there was no,
It's
like
like
pricing,
it's
no
contingent
discount.
on- yeah, right. I mean, that's almost $3,000 savings for me to go with brother's gutters.
Well,
Yeah.
look at this, I have cluster 2 on this one too for leaf filter, and yours was a full product replacement and $21.
Yes, I was gonna say, I thought I had seen it earlier, but I couldn't find it. But yes, so I think maybe we need to look at leaf filter again.
Well, we'll have to call them, cause
Yeah.
they don't have a date on that, because that was so long
That
ago,
was-
like, I had to call
That
SoFlo
was
to
in
make
the
sure
fall.
these prices were
Yeah.
still good, so I don't know when.
Austin had one, Robin's on now.
Oh, okay.
Austin was on here. I'll send him a message. It was his friend Calvin, I think his name was, who came out. So you wanna have them look at their pricing again?
Yeah.
I think it was around February that,
I sent
Of
it to you.
25,
No, that-
right, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so we want to have, I'll message
I
them.
see, do we know, I see 5-year warranty on labor for SoFlo and 20-year warranty on materials, do we know if they're all the same?
Jerry's got the full scope, in
Um,
front of her.
It was November,
Okay.
November 24th.
Gutter Brothers is 5 years for labor, 20 years for material. SoFlo, I am not seeing any kind of guarantee. Leaf filters was 20 years on materials.
Well, I didn't print all the pages of SoFlo, so
Oh.
Dawn's got like, if they were 8 or 9 pages, I just printed the cost
Oh,
pages.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, SoFlo is at the end of their materials, it's 5 years and 20.
And I would, I would assume that they're all pretty similar because, that's what we're seeing on leaf filters. I don't see on Rain and Shine, but I would assume that should be, that they were also the most expensive, so. Rain and Shine, yeah.
Yeah. For you, let me see, were they for everybody? Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, all the way down. Yeah.
Alright, I sent Austin a message because it doesn't look like he's on any longer, so hopefully he can get his, person back out here. I asked that they contact you.
Yeah, I can email
Schedule it.
and get it, I just didn't go back up far.
Yeah. Any questions, like Fiona, I know you guys haven't really budgeted for this either, but it's more of a good to know depending on how long your gutters have been in place. And if they're needing to have full replacement or whatnot. So any questions about the numbers, knowing that we're gonna have, leaf filter back out to, provide pricing for everybody.
Yeah, no questions. I will say that I did use brothers gutters, whatever you call them, at the school, and they did a really good job.
Okay, that's good to know. Alright, sorry, we have somebody on who hasn't really identified who they are. Okay, so should we table the gutter for another month?
I think we're gonna have to
Till we
until we
get
get,
the updated?
yeah,
Okay.
until we get the.
Except we're gonna talk about Jerry's portion again when we get to that cluster 2 thing,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Alright. Okay, so hopefully by then we'll have another one. Okay, next one up is discussion regarding lease term dates. That's me.
Yep.
So this is our attempt to have, clear documentation for move-in and move-out dates for tenants. According to our documents, landlords are required to obtain approval from the board at least 60 days in advance of renewing a lease. We know that that hasn't really been happening, and what we're trying to figure out is how do we basically identify every single unit that's being rented right now, and then obtain those move-in and move-out dates, so we can have
That's the problem.
some say if we've got problem tenants.
Yeah, some are so old that
Yeah.
there's no lease back with, like I did, I
Like
sat
what goes
there.
back to 1975.
Oh, damn, not that far, but I mean, like, here's one, 2018. I mean, I'm doing mail store searches, but we weren't even scanning them in back then. Sometimes we were, but not always.
Well, then, they should be getting, they should be getting a renewed lease, or having a renewed lease signed with their tenants if they're staying. So, shouldn't they be providing us a copy with that renewed lease?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they never gave us one to begin with. See all my blank spots?
Yeah,
Those
We
are
never had
all-
it to begin with, so I don't know what their start and end date was. We're just gonna have to call people.
yeah,
I don't know
but,
how to
yeah,
do it.
I mean, if it's in our, rules and rights that they have to provide a copy of the lease, then we can call and say, hey, you know, we need a copy of your current lease.
Yeah, we just, Pebble Springs never did that. Yeah, or if they did, they stopped doing it long, long ago, and so that's why.
And I think that's how we got into the problem that we're in today, where we have, problem tenants that we don't know when their lease ends, to be able to go to the owner and say, we are not allowing you to renew this lease.
Yeah, and we have
So-
some where we have the lease and it's become beneficial, so.
Very much so, which is how we got to this discussion.
Yes, I
So,
think we need to reach out to the, landlord owners that have leases that we do not have copies of and say, hey, you know, here it is in the rules and regs, you have to provide us a copy of it, we need this within so many days.
Fiona, Dawn, Robin,
Yeah, we're just gonna have to call. I can't send them all a letter, cause some of these might not even still be there. They could have been 3-month leases. Without the dates, I don't even know if these people are still there. So we're just gonna have to call the owners and ask
I
them.
mean, I think we know in the past, we've tried to get copies of leases and the owners are only gonna do what they wanna do. They're gonna cooperate if they wanna cooperate.
well, and
Well,
what's
this
the
should be part of their-
repercussion if they do not require?
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Is it in our rules and regs that they have to provide a copy of the lease? If they don't provide a copy of the lease when they're sending in the tenant approval, if we don't have a copy of the lease, why are we even seeing the tenant approval request?
But again, Jerry, we're doing it right now, but it
Yes.
wasn't for a long time. So for me to go back in time and figure out when these end dates are to get rid of some of these people who have been there that we don't
Okay.
wanna renew, I don't have that
Okay.
information.
Okay, because I was just going off, the owners are gonna do what the owners wanna do, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, no, because.
No, and they do,
Okay.
because, well, we have two right now,
Yeah.
two units that we are actively on a monthly basis contacting them and saying, you still have someone in there.
Yeah.
Unless the association wants to get into, well, one, we are spending money on, where we're spending money on the attorney to get them involved, then it's costing you money you can't recoup. So we have to really spend some time.
Going through the list.
I really wanted to do it myself. I don't wanna have my admin do it. I'll
Right.
probably have her start calling. I don't know. People are gonna be a little mad with her, but.
Well, I mean, if it's in our documents, we clearly state that you have to provide it, and they're not providing it, then what's the repercussion that?
Well, the repercussion is that we can shut off their, access to like the clubhouse, we can disable their, if we don't have a current lease, we can shut off their parking tag.
That's true.
Because technically you don't know that they're there, so.
Yep,
Yeah,
okay.
if,
I think we have no choice but to take very firm action with this, because there are so many of them out there, and there are there's gotta be problem units in every single cluster, at least one, if not multiples. And if our documents allow us to have this sort of oversight, I say we enforce it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Dawn, I don't know,
I was gonna say, you know, I have someone who is there, and we've tried towing the car, we've reached out to the owner, give us an application, it's not as if we're asking for much, just the application for this particular unit,
yep,
and he has ignored it. And, you know, and we said, what's the repercussions, because it goes on, and perhaps he doesn't park, perhaps the so-called tenant doesn't park there every single night. He may be there 3 or 4 nights out of the week. He doesn't have a tag. He parks at different visitors' spots throughout the complex. It's, you know, I don't know what the options would be.
If we know it's the same vehicle, even if they're in different spots, if you know it's the same vehicle, can we not take a picture of that you get like a timestamp picture, take a picture of the vehicle, and you know, then there's no question of, you know, if you see it in the visitor spot and it's only been there one day, if we can tell tow company,
They don't
if you
check
see
the
this,
days.
they don't.
We have,
We're-
we've sent that one.
Is
that-
Here's another thing, is that, you know, because I thought of this when I was down there with this particular individual, is you may have somebody that lives there that has a girlfriend, a significant other, and they come and they park at visitors a couple nights a week. They're not living there, they're just visiting a couple nights a week. You're allowed to visitors up to 3 times before you have to have a tag or an application or, you know, however. How do we work a situation like that? Because what's to stop someone from saying, you know, I've been here 3 days this week and I parked in visitors, but I don't live here, I'm just visiting my girlfriend or boyfriend.
Well, that particular owner that you're referring to swears up and down, there's nobody in the unit, he's not rented it, go ahead and tow it. So we told Tom to tow it.
I can get, updated photos well, they shouldn't have to be updated because they're the same cars, right?
Same.
Cause one of them,
Come
the
in-
truck,
Come in next week, it's okay.
yeah, cause the truck, I know is the one who backed over the curb and pretty much parked in somebody's front yard. So, I mean, how Comto, when they came around, didn't see that and do something about it, I'm not sure. But, you know, Comto. But, okay, Don, so you're gonna get those and we're gonna get them over to Comto and basically give them, you are welcome to tow this vehicle anytime you see it on the property instruction?
Yeah, I'll take care of that part when I get there, but I guess I'm just asking if we're gonna do, how we handle a situation, and I don't know if we have any. It just is, what if you have somebody who's legitimately just has a visitor,
Well,
boyfriend, girlfriend?
they're still only allowed to have the visitor a certain number of days out of the year. So, you know, we had that in cluster 3 for a while, where his girlfriend was living there, and Robin repeatedly asked to get her vetted, and, I mean, it took probably 7-8 months to get her vetted. And the only recourse we have is by requesting the vehicle be towed, because we all know that is not a cheap thing. So, if we tow, and you're looking at a $500 fee, maybe you'll take it seriously. But, I mean, all we can do is try
Yes, exactly.
and just start doing something about it, because it's the same people over and over again, it seems.
No, but I'm all for the applications, it's just
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a couple of years since I've been on the board and it's driven me crazy. Yeah,
All right.
so, thank you, yeah.
Janet, you're gonna have your assistant help start the process.
Well, no, I mean, clearly, I've been working on it.
Yeah.
I just, there's a lot of people here that have been here a long time, I don't know.
Do you want
What
to,
their lease
like,
term dates
that
are.
list, can you give it to the board, and then we can say, oh, we know
Who's in,
who
yeah.
they are, like,
Good idea.
and so to help you kind of whittle it down?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
This is
But
exactly
we're
what we
talking
don't
about
do
annual
though, is
leases.
make these extra things, but the problem is with you guys, with the copies of the leases, like, we're approving things for 2027 now. Like, we're not even,
And those are
You know what I
those
mean?
short-term leases.
and I can't put them in the system because there's a tenant in there now, and then we forget by the time the tenant comes around, so, I mean, I don't know. And then you have 3-month leases, which I assume are just people visiting, like snowbirds
Yeah, so
for the summer.
seasonal.
But you have a lot of those, and like their time, you know, ends, and I would assume they're gone by now, but if they're not, like, I don't even know, would we even tell the owner 60 days in advance when it's only a 90-day term?
I mean, for the 90-day ones, they don't seem like they're the ones who stick around. Like,
Yeah.
they have their dates, they're here to get away from the winter, and then they head back. Like, from what I've observed, they're very good about cleaning up and heading out. It's these annual renters that we don't have the documentation on that are proving to be the problem. Because we don't seem to, if we don't know their dates, we can't enforce the 60 days, and then we can't try to push for a non-renewal of the lease.
Yeah, because I have no idea when it started.
Yeah.
I know when they were approved, but I don't know what start date that was. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, we're gonna have to call
Yeah.
the owners. I have all the names, these are all the tenant names with the correct units.
Okay.
Some I have dates for, some I don't. But some of them I know are still there, but the dates are expired. So in other words, they rolled over, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I need to know.
All right, well, if you share that with us, we will at least identify those we know and try to help whittle the list down.
Yeah.
Sound good?
So if we have an owner or a renter that just lives there permanently, is that something we need to keep renewing every year?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And it's to cover us. So, yeah, we need to at least have them reach out to us to confirm that there's been no activity. I mean, they should know, but, you know, we still, I'll never forget the one in Cluster too, who basically went after the association because of it. But, okay, so we're working that, okay, any other discussion about the term, the lease term dates and what our process is gonna be? Okay, alright, moving on, update on financials.
Well, Dawn had that on there, and we had tabled it till this meeting. I don't know, Dawn, did you have anything you wanted to say about it, or?
No, it was because it was in regards to the December financials, because we still had a lot of questions to them. And a lot of it stemmed to the loan, and how the loan was being recorded, and some reclassification entries, and just really trying to get a feel for where we were at the end of the year. So that we could issue those going forward into 2026. But Janet and I spoke the other day, and my questions got answered. And I took up a ton of her time, but she was very patient with me, and I appreciate that.
So, as an update on the loan, when you're looking at your financials, your operating and whatnot, that's fine. It's the reserve. On the master operating, there is a loan on the balance sheet, which is your interest loan that you're paying for the, not interest, insurance. But on the reserves, there is a loan amount, and the master did not do any roofs. So I have given her the amounts, and you should each have a line item to show that your portion of the loan payment outgoing each month. It should not be on the master, it should be on the 6 clusters. And Dawn and I had talked about that earlier, and I did ask her to do it. I sent her the figures about 4 times. I was throwing a fit, and I finally said I'm going to go over her head and get it done correctly. And about the time I said that to Dawn on the phone, I got a message from her saying, I'll have that done by the May financial. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. So that will be done, and there were some old accruals on there that will be coming off. But other than that, the figures are pretty good. The operating ended December. We had to change some things because when you guys did your, I'm just explaining this in case anybody has questions, but when you did your special assessments in 2025, and I'm referring now to the December one, not these ones in 2026, but in 2025, the end of the year, some monies had to be moved from that reserve special assessment to operating because we did a roof special assessment for the reserves. So that portion was in there on the reserves. but we did a hurricane damage special assessment under the operating side because it all hit 6723 on the operating. You don't see a lot of that expense on the 2025 because we spent it in 2024, but we collected the money in 2025. So it looks like you ended up over, but you owed money back from 2024. Now, in that, you all agreed to close to, everybody's was really close with, it was 2,500 and there was different change depending on which cluster. So you all agreed to that price to be right around that for the whole community, but some of you had less damage than others and were able to collect more toward the roofs in that hurricane. Because the roofs were damaged. We collect all the tarp money, all the other damage, and some of the roof damage, but we didn't want to go over 2,500. And I'm trying to think Robin's, I think Robin, wasn't yours big? It was like 3,900 or something. Somebody's was, maybe it was Fiona's, and we didn't want to go that high. So we capped it at 2,500, so each cluster had a different amount of roof damage that was collected, but it was all went toward the reserve roof replacement. So some of that special assessment that was 2,500 per year, per person, some of that money was collected in the operating and some of that money went over and showed on the reserve. So if you do the math in your head, like 34 units times 2,500, whatever, you won't see that on the operating side. You'll see partial of that and partial in the reserves along with the roof assessment. The roof special assessment was only in 2025, the amount that was posted to the roof special assessment was all the owners that paid in full for the year, because that was charged off and was billed to their accounts. And 1 year of the owners who chose it wasn't even a full year, whenever we passed it, of owners that chose the payments. And then you will see 1 year in 26, 1 year in 27, and a partial year in 28. So it'll keep looking, even if you don't pass any more special assessments between now and 2028, you will still see on your reserve line item income from special assessments, and that's that roof monies that's being billed out each month for those that didn't pay in advance. So I don't know if that made sense, but that's, if anybody goes home and does the math, that's where the split is. It was split like that.
Dawn, Fiona, do you have any?
Yeah.
Robin?
Okay.
Okay, so iPhone 70 is Robin. Good to know. Thank you for letting me know. I was going to kick you out again. Any questions on the financial piece from Janet?
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
I've given the extent of
Oh my gosh. I'm so proud that I'm not the treasurer. Any questions? If anybody here has any questions about the financial? All right, cool. Okay, next item up for bid. Regarding parking discussion, I love parking. It's one of my favorite things I ever get to do. So knowing me and the fact that I like data, which is crazy because I'm not detail oriented at all, I did do what I did the last time and I identified how many parking spots were on the property, how many two-vehicle households you have in each cluster, and how many visitor spots we have. So here's what I found out, which is kind of interesting. While the number of vehicles on the property has not really changed, the number of two-car households has increased for every cluster from what I've been able to identify. Like cluster 1, for instance, went from having 10 two-car households to now having 14. So that was one of the big questions we had, is with the volume of homes that we have here, we know that we do not have parking to accommodate if every single unit has 2 vehicles on the property. So when I walked around, this is what I basically, here are my findings. So we have a total of 268 vehicles registered to Pebble Springs. We have 292 total parking spots on the property. 176 of them are numbered, so they are each unit's assigned spot. We have 92 unmarked spots. We have 22 visitor, 1 reserved, and 1 handicapped. So if you add up all of those lovely numbers besides the 292, the number you get to is 268. So we have exactly enough parking spots on this property, including visitor, to accommodate the number of registered vehicles to this property. So the question that came up was from cluster 5, saying they wanted more visitor. I don't know how we do that, given the fact that there are already 3, actually cluster 5 essentially, in their cluster has 2 visitor spots, plus there's 3 along 59. So they have a fair number of visitor over there. Every other cluster, with the exception of cluster 1, has 2 visitor spots anchoring each end of your cluster, and then we have a pretty good number of them in the front. So given we have, 12 units that are on the market right now, I don't see that we can remove unmarked parking spots in favor of adding visitors based on our numbers. And if you'd like to know what your actual numbers are, I'm happy to tell you. But that is just my analysis of walking around and counting and pulling the random data report that Janet directed us to the last time. So, with that being said, Jerry, Jenny, Dawn, Fiona, and Robin, what are your thoughts about the request to add more visitor and take away unmarked?
Well, I'm a numbers person, so numbers don't lie, and I don't know how we make any changes, at least at this point. I'm not saying down the road we might not look at it again, perhaps it's something we reevaluate every year.
Yeah.
But at this juncture, based on what you just gave us, I don't see how we make any changes.
Between cluster 2 and cluster 6, I don't see how we can, because cluster 2 as it is does not have enough spaces for the vehicles that we have, because we have the least number of spaces.
Yeah, you guys have 57 registered vehicles. 23 are 2-car households. You have 9 unmarked spots and then 2 visitor spots.
Yeah. I see no way for cluster 2 to add any other visitor spots, as we stand.
You said ours, cluster 1 was even, right?
Cluster 1, we actually, so while there weren't changes to the number of vehicles, cluster 1 went from having 10 2-car households to 14. So we had an increase in that capacity, but not an increase in the number of vehicles on the property. I did actually look at how many parking spots are over that are kind of between clusters 2 and cluster 6. And let's see here. Cluster 6, you have 42 registered vehicles, 17 are 2-car households. You have 5 unmarked spots, those are the ones that run parallel to Manatee. And then you have 2 visitor spots. I did not include the ones that are coming in from Manatee because those are essentially fair game for cluster 2, 6, 1, 3, whoever needs it. Cluster 3, you have 38 cars on the property, 13 2-car households, you have 12 unmarked spots, and then 2 visitor. Cluster 4, you have 45 registered vehicles, 18 2-car households, 7 unmarked spots, and 2 visitor spots. Yours is probably the one that has the least amount of unmarked spots based on the volume of 2-car households. Cluster 5 has 50 registered vehicles, 18 2-car households, and along that side and around 20 unmarked spots. So cluster 4 and cluster 5 have access to a good chunk of unmarked spots over there, just like we've got over closer to Manatee for 1, 2, 3, and 6.
I do know a few of my owners who have 2-car households do park over on 59.
Yeah. Yep. So, Robin, do you have any questions about it? Like, I'm happy to share this with everybody I did type it up, so it's on a computer.
I was just wondering, like, cause we only have the 2 visitors between 3 and 1, is there any spaces like, because those visitors spots we have between 3 and 1, those are the only ones we both share.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can put some visitor spots over in front of the clubhouse?
We do have visitor spots in front of the clubhouse. You're breaking up a little bit, Robin. So we do have visitor spots over by the clubhouse. I think a lot of it is, a lot of the challenge that we face is that when the board decided to move forward with the, the only spots that you as a cluster own are the numbered ones, and then making every unmarked spot open to anybody, it makes it very hard to tell people in, say, cluster 1 to stop taking up all of the unmarked spots in cluster 3, right? Because all those spots are fair game according to our documents. So, the hope is that,
And I can tell you on cluster 2, especially where I'm at, if we did not have access to those, unmarked spots in front of cluster 6, we'd be having all kinds of problems. And we did when it was each, you had to park in your clusters
yeah.
spots, period.
Yeah. So, I don't know, the answer to the question, Robin, I guess, what we can do about it, cause in front of cluster 1, there are so many visitor spots that there's no reason other than laziness for why people aren't using those spots versus clamoring to use the visitor spots in your cluster, right? I don't know how we combat that. Or if the answer is that we do add a visitor spot in front of cluster 1. I don't know, and that's really kind of up to Jenny if she wants to go down that path. The problem is like adding a visitor spot takes away an owner spot or a resident spot,
Right.
so.
I will say that
Fiona?
the visitor spots on the way out onto Manatee Avenue, they're not utilized very much. The ones by the clubhouse are always, but the ones on the way out are not utilized much, the visitor spots.
On this side of the line.
Yeah, heading out.
Yes, heading out onto
Yeah.
Manatee Avenue, they're not used as much unless there's a boat and
We're not having that again, that's not happening again, that's
taking
not,
up 2 spots, but they're really not used much unless there's something going on at the clubhouse. So they could potentially be unmarked spots,
okay.
and then give visitor spots, put some visitor spots in someplace else, or, vice versa. If that helped out 1 and 3, I'm not sure how that would work.
I mean, I don't know what the demand is for visitor, because it seems like if you come to the clubhouse, you've got plenty of parking,
Mhm.
so. I mean, cause the request was to actually add visitor and take away unmarked, and I don't think, our numbers can't support removing residential parking from the property. They just, not with the volume that we have, and I don't know that we have the capacity to add more.
Well, then the
More
other
parking?
one needs,
Yeah.
the more visitors need to park out on the one that goes out to Manatee Avenue, because there's plenty of visitors
Yeah.
parking spots out there that are not used.
I think there's
So
5 or
somebody's
6
not using-
heading
yeah.
out.
The only way you could
9
do it
total, right?
would be to take a material alteration booth for that grassy area, put in a parking lot and access to it. That's the only way you could get more land to park.
Mhm.
I mean, this right here
This
is
grassy.
is wide enough that if you narrowed it to a channel, you know what I mean, like way skinnier, you could probably, like, coming in, put a bunch of spots like this, you know what I mean, like a bunch of on an angle, rather than just having 3 or 4 like this. But other than that, I don't know where else do you have room that you
We're,
could,
like, we're feeling the squeeze, like, we don't have
Yeah.
the land for it.
I mean, if everybody in here had 2 cars, you wouldn't, some people would have to park off-site and nobody could have a guest, like, ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, then you'd really have to put in parking. somewhere, but those are the only two spots that I can think of that you, because it's really tight back along,
Yeah, there's no
um,
room. Like, cause we had looked at adding it along 63rd for cluster 6 and there wasn't enough space, they determined, and I don't know that there's really much that could be done unless we were to basically get rid of the dog run area, which is just dirt at this point, and
You got-
pave over it.
you got dumpsters, and it's very tight back there when two cars pass each
Yeah,
other
it is.
going in opposite directions, so I mean, you'd need a lot of space to go put parking and cars,
You have to take out the dirt for sure, the dog run.
yeah.
Yeah, the dog run would have to come out.
It's like all.
And then where do you put your dumpsters?
Well, even if we left the dumpsters where they are and just went this way from them,
Like a
Like
along-
from like cluster 1 down to cluster, the corner by
Yeah.
cluster 2. Get rid of that dog run.
So here's the problem, if we get rid of the dog run though, that's gonna open up the people are gonna go, well, where else am I supposed to take my dog to do the business? And we're gonna end up with dogs in the courtyard, which we're already battling, or in other areas that we don't want
Should
the
not be
dogs.
battling that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, what if we use that
I
whole
think this-
area?
I'm sorry. Does any, or did complain about not enough parking? 'Cause I